Hey everyone, my name is Davin with Kirkham Iron Tech, and today we're here with our founder and CEO, Tom Kirkham. And Tom, we have this buzzword that goes around a lot in our industry, in IT and cybersecurity, and it's the word compliance. And that can entail a lot of different things. What do you need to be compliant? What's compliant? What are the compliancy measures in my industry for maybe security? Maybe you work in professional services, you're a law firm, accountant, you have confidential client information. There's a lot of things that go into compliancy as a whole for all industries. If you don't mind, maybe could you break down a little bit just overall about compliance in the cybersecurity world of what's here now, what's coming? There's a lot to go in, and can you dig into that a little bit for us?
Yes, that word, that buzzword, right? And
Yeah.
and you need to treat it seriously, but it's a big topic, right? You know, when we say compliance, it varies for everyone, but the way it is right now, from a regulatory standpoint, each and every industry is getting more and more regulations around cybersecurity practices. Some industries are much more mature. Medical's had HIPAA for 20 years. Financial has had Sarbanes-Oxley for decades, probably 30 years, I'm thinking, just not to date myself. But it also, so you've got to be compliant with those regulations, but it's also bigger than that. So when when you're talking about cybersecurity compliance, one of the things you should be compliant with is NIST cybersecurity framework. That's a best practice. Now you can be NIST compliant without having to prove it. Now we charge for a NIST assessment, right? And some industries require that.
Yeah.
And we'll provide that for a fee, but understanding that we are a NIST compliant practicing security firm, you're going to already be there. You know, if you're a client of ours, you're going to be NIST compliant. We're just not doing the paperwork on it, right? So if you do, when your industry is further regulated, and it's not if, it's when.
Oh, 100%.
Goals of the federal government, and it has nothing to do with party, but in politics and tribalism and all this stupid stuff. But one of the goals of the government is to get each and every person more cyber aware and more secure. There's limits to what the federal government can do, or the state governments can do, or the local governments can do. And that's a topic for a different time. Maybe we should jot that down, because people ask me, why don't the feds do something? Well, they don't have the luxury of having half the world's hackers in their country and protecting them. So when they launch a cyber war, say out of Russia, their cyber warfare capabilities are significant, and they are highly skilled, and they have both mercenaries, criminals, and nation state threat actors.
Yeah.
United States doesn't have that. We arrest them, we put them in prison. So there's a limit to the retaliatory, the proportional response that our offensive cyber forces, you've got U.S. Cyber Command, National Security Agency, and the list goes on and on and on, military. There's just a limit to what they can do. And there's a limit to who they can protect, right? You know, if you're a small company and you get a ransomware attack for $10,000, NSA is not going to go and, counterattack or try to claw the money back. You're just going to be another statistic, and you may or may not go out of business. You have compliance around just your cybersecurity insurance policy. These are getting trickier by the day.
Oh,
because they're paying out in claims, and it's killing some insurance companies. And so some of them are leaving it or left already. Others are saying, you've got to do these things or we're not writing the policy, which means compliance.
Yep.
Okay. Or if you're not doing these things, instead of your premium being $5,000 a year, it's going to be $20,000 a year. You're going to pay one way or the other, so you might as well be compliant and better protect your business. Once again, don't forget, this is happening every day in every industry, where there's more and more regulations around implementing proper cybersecurity defense. And it's up to everyone This is everyone's responsible for not only their own cybersecurity defense or protection, but for all of us, all of the rest of us. You know, I often say that if everybody put an EDR in, ransomware would go away. And that's true. It would become an unfeasible business for the criminal hackers, and they would go on to another tactic. And make no mistake, ransomware is the #1 threat by far.
Oh yeah.
Especially for small businesses.
And definitely the most expensive. And you mentioned in the very beginning, and it's not a matter of if, it's when. And that's because cybersecurity attacks and cybersecurity risk are overall increasing dramatically every single year. And even if you're in an industry that is not being regulated for to implement cybersecurity measures at the moment, in the next year, 3 years, you will be. And if you're trying to catch up on becoming compliant and implementing all of these tools all at once in a hurry, that's when it can get expensive. But if you prepare now and you understand now what your vulnerabilities are, what preventative cybersecurity measures you need to implement now or plan to implement here soon, now you're ahead of the curve. And when those compliances come, like you said, it's not a matter of if, it's when those compliances and those regulations come into place, you're ready, or you already have them in place and you're not even worried about it. And that's where the first step comes in. And a lot of people, okay, well, I know these are coming, or I know I need to implement these security measures. Where do I start? There's so many different tools. What do I even need to put in first? And you mentioned like an EDR, endpoint detection and response tool. You figure out what you need in a free or overall cybersecurity and risk assessment. We offer a free cybersecurity and risk assessment, but in that assessment, basically, we help you understand, okay, this is what you all have at the moment. We really dig into the practices and procedures that you have in place. And then we figure out, okay, these are the potential vulnerabilities, or these are the vulnerabilities that you have at the moment. This is what, and we make these recommendations for you. You need this tool or this service to fill this gap or fill this vulnerability. Tom, you mentioned EDR. That is a tool that if you do not have, if you're solely relying on an antivirus right now to protect your organization and overall protect your clients and your employees, that's not enough. I can tell you right now, you already have a vulnerability, or you already have a gap. And so right off the bat, this is free professional information. You need an endpoint detection response tool to overall start the track of protecting your company. And that's just,
Go ahead.
That's the first step of overall that assessment, figuring out what those gaps are and getting you to where you need to be.
Yeah, if you do nothing more than get one of these free audits or assessments that we do, it's a top to bottom, very comprehensive study of your company that encompasses not just IT infrastructure and cybersecurity defense measures, but also how it relates to the entire health of your company, achieving peak performance in those things. So, you know, there's a whole IT issue with this too, but we're talking about cybersecurity specifically right now. Don't kick the can down the road.
Yep.
If you do nothing more than get this assessment, you're going to be better informed. You're going to be a good captain of your ship before you set sail anymore, before you open the door the next day. You know, once you get that assessment, you're going to be better informed of where you are and where you need to get to. And it's inevitable. I promise you, each and every industry is going to come under these regulations. I'm surprised every day. Automobile dealers, who would have thought? Notoriously underspend on IT and cybersecurity for decades. But now they're being regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. And the Federal Trade Commission has a broad mission.
Yeah,
they could step in on any industry at any time and start issuing regulations, just like they did with auto dealers. And of course, all the other ones that have been around forever with credit cards, you know, PCI, you know, HIPAA. If you've got any employee medical records, that you could be subject to HIPAA requirements. If you're in financials, you've got IRS 4557, you've got Sarbanes-Oxley and other regulations and regulations around maybe your vendors require you to do certain things. If you continue to kick the can down the road, knowing that it's inevitable that you're going to have regulations, all you're doing is increasing your attack surface because you're not paying attention to time. Why be vulnerable for 2 or 3 years and just waiting until you're forced to do it?
Yep.
That entire time, you're running a significant risk of a significant breach.
Yep. And this goes for, one person law firms, one person organizations to small, medium size, 200 plus employee organization. This goes for everyone. This free assessment is for absolutely every business, and I can guarantee that you will get beneficial information just from having a quick meeting where we discuss the free assessment and what all it entails, and overall helping you achieve that peak performance. Now, if you have more questions about compliancy or specific to your industry, feel free to reach out. You can email, call. We'll be happy to talk to you and answer any questions you may have, or if you'd like to schedule that free assessment, feel free to reach out at any time, and we look forward to talking to you.